45 years, guys. 45 years is how old this G-Wagon is. Can you believe it? That's like 3 years older than me, which is quite a sobering thought. But anyways, Mercedes-Benz would like to celebrate this milestone. And so they've introduced a couple of limited edition versions. Now, before I go on, okay, I'm just gonna mention that they come in two different colors, which is emerald green or metallic black. As you can see, I've got the emerald green. And on the way here, there was a splattering of drizzle. It is Cape Town after all, you can never predict the weather. And so it got a little bit splotchy and a little bit dirty. And it just goes to show that something like emerald green does unfortunately show up all the dirt. Guys, I don't drive with chamois. Couldn't get the car clean at time, but still, I think it looks good enough. Okay, I have tried to give it a bit of a wipe. Now, on the other hand as well, I must mention that this is not, in fact, the Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, obnoxious V8 version. Nope, this is the 400D version, the humble version. And I'm gonna tell you why I think it is the version that you should probably choose. Before I get into why this is the G-Wagon for you, let me take you down memory lane for just a second. We are celebrating 45 years with this model after all. It was back then that the Shah of Iran, who was a Mercedes-Benz stakeholder, requested or possibly demanded that the company develop a military-grade vehicle that was not only capable and rugged, but also comfortable and user-friendly. It needed to be as good on the battlefield as it was, as GQ puts it, shuttling skiers up to the alpine lodges or farmers into the back of 40 acres of their wrestling vineyards. This model is pretty standard G-class, but is available in emerald green or metallic black, as I mentioned, and features exclusive manufacturer editions, which include leather grab handles. It is kitted with the manufacturer logo package that gives you revised side beatings with the Shockle-approved branding and coordinates. There are also massive 5 twin-spoke 20-inch wheels to round off the look. You can't miss them. Your safety is covered with up-to-date systems such as adaptive cruise control, auto LED lights, active lane keeping assist, emergency braking assist, active brake assist, attention assist, and pre-safe system. It also boasts 9 airbags. What was created was one of the greatest motoring icons of our time. You don't even have to drive to know what a G-Wagon is. It is such a statement. It is so iconic, and it has remained pretty much the same for 45 years. As Mercedes-Benz says, why mess with an icon? In fact, don't mess with an icon. And a little bit of side trivia for you. Did you know that this is built completely differently to any other Mercedes-Benz passenger car? It is hand-assembled in Austria. But now let's take a closer look. This 45 edition is only available in AMG line spec. You'll notice this yacht blue stitching on these Napa leather seats, which by the way are heated and cooled and massage you and are very, very comfortable. And you'll notice a couple of the the manufacturer logos here from that package. And then it's got these 12.3-inch touchscreens, 2 of them, and they look really slick and very cool and contrast quite beautifully with things like the old sort of analog clock style. There is a sunroof up here, which is the one thing that really annoys me the most, is because it doesn't close entirely. It's got little slats here. So when you're driving into the sun, it sort of hits you right in the eye. But I'm not a fan of a sunroof. We already know that, okay? The other thing to mention is this doesn't actually have Mercedes-Benz's MBUX system, so it is a bit of a letdown. But remember, this is the run-out model. There will be an updated model coming next year, and I'm certain that it will have all the latest tech, including the latest MBUX system. This is one spacious car. Remember that it's just shy of 4.7 meters long and almost 2 meters wide. And the fact that it's so high just gives you this huge feel of like a roominess, and obviously the sunroof that I mentioned earlier that I don't love, but it does add to the feel of spaciousness. The boot is also really ginormous. I just feel like if you're going to be spending this kind of money, you want to be comfortable in the rear as well. And I can confidently say that I would be happy to be driven in the back here. Very very spacious. But speaking of driven, let's get on the road and drive this guy. You think that this model might not excite you because it's not the V8 version, but I'm here to tell you that you're wrong, okay? Because this 2.9 litre straight 6 turbo diesel with 243 kilowatts of power and 700 newton meters of torque is more than sufficient. It really is a hefty guy, but it can pull away like a little agile lamb, if you will. Don't know if that should be the comparison, but anyways, it's mated to a 9G-tronic transmission, which is programmed perfectly. So I find this to be sufficient, especially around town, but on the highway, you can overtake with ease. It doesn't matter if you've got a full car. It's just, I don't know, I think it's the less obnoxious version, right? And so I suppose there's a street cred element to the G63 that you can't get whilst driving this. However, that's not to say that this G-Wagon, this model, this 400D, doesn't have plenty of street cred. And I think the fact that you can go anywhere, because we must remember that this is one of the most capable 4x4s in the world. And I think it's so special to be in a car that is so capable and able to do whatever you want it to do, but still comfortably. I mean, you can feel invincible in this car. What isn't so invincible, though, however, is the fuel consumption. Now, Mercedes-Benz will have you believe that it is claimed at like 9.6 litres per 100 Ks. I feel like that's just a silly number. That can't be true. And in fact, you're going to see readings of more like 15 litres per 100 Ks and upwards. But does someone buying this car, spending this kind of money, really care about something as insignificant as fuel consumption? I doubt it. I haven't even mentioned the price yet, but I'm going to guess you already know it is not for the faint-hearted. Yep, this 45 edition model will set you back just over 3.7 million rand. That's a couple of houses, unless you're on the Atlantic seaboard, where that might just get you a garage. But does that price really matter at this point? That 3.7 million rand gets you this icon. And let's be honest, it is not us mere mortals that this is targeted at, right? As penny pinchers who wait for the 25th of every month. This is for those who have no clue what number is in their bank account. Oh, how we dream to be one of those people. But the point is, those customers want to be seen. They want to be noticed. And this car is going to do that. Whether you get this one or the G63, I'm going to say save the money. Get this, because this is still going to make a statement. And I promise you, you're still going to be noticed.
Welcome back to Ignition GT. For more than 45 years, the Mercedes-Benz Geländewagen, or G-class as it's more popularly known, has stayed remarkably true to its roots, with its boxy outline and impeccable off-road capabilities having truly stood the test of time. Recently, the company has introduced the 580 EQ version, which is in keeping with the current trend towards electrification. But does that mean the G400 should be consigned to the history books? Let's start with you, Kumbi. I certainly think not. It's diesel, it's a G-Wagon. I saw one in Langebaan yesterday, and it just gets that same reaction from me and others all the time. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, listen, I personally love this car. I drove it from Pretoria to Palabora, which is over a 600-kilometer trip. And you know what, I was really impressed. I've always been, and obviously I'm a youngster, so I'm not sure if I can call myself a youngster anymore now, but I'm a youngster, and I've always said, you know, G63 or nothing else.
Yeah.
When I drove the G400D, I realized that this is actually where it's at. This is what, you know, daily, it's comfortable, it's not, it doesn't have a hard suspension as obviously the G63. This is just really, really comfortable. What did disappoint me, however, is just, as a 45-year edition, they should have just, that interior in terms of, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, that was not there available in that. So that did somewhat, it was a bit of a downside for it, but it's such a great car. It looks good. It drives extremely well. The torque is amazing. The 9-speed, obviously, automatic transmission is also just as great. So I think that is it for me. I would definitely now buy a G400 diesel.
Dennis, me personally, take the badges off. AMG spec, no one needs to know. What are your thoughts?
I love the G-class. And the G63 is more of the car for rap stars, if you want to parade it all out there. But the G400 is the left brain vehicle. I tested both of them. G63, we averaged over 20 litres per 100 Ks. And I'm sorry,
How is that even possible to live with that? As you say, you've got to have a salary of a famous rapper.
Yeah.
Not even just
not
like
even
a
mid-level rapper. Yeah. And then the G400D, I drove it not as far as you did, but I drove it from Joburg to Dahlstrom, averaged under 12 litres per 100.
There you go.
Huge torque, easy cruising, refined. I love that chunky styling. It's got all the off-road bits. I mean, it's got 3 diff locks. I mean, you can do anything you want with that.
What does it compete against, and what are your options?
I mean, listen, at 3.7 million, you've got a lot of options, right, within. I mean, you can look at the Range Rovers. But for 3.7 million rand, I think a G-Wagon buyer does not look at anything else, really. I'm sure you do have. That's my take. And I do think that when you look at a G-Wagon, a G400 diesel, you do not want to look at anything else. And the price difference between that and the 63 is actually vast. I think it's over $1.5 million in terms of price difference. So when you do land yourself there, it's not cheap, but I think 3.7 million rand, it justified for the car. And
makes my eyes water, that price. I'm going to change my description. You're a property mogul, Dennis Tropper.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is a steep price tag, but I think the people who buy this type of car don't really compare it to anything else, because it's just such an outlier. It's just so completely different. It's kind of like a Suzuki Jimny, but on steroids, supersized.
All the steroids.
Yeah, very, very much so. But I mean, even though you get similarly priced Range Rovers or Porsches, it's just not the same kind of vehicle. It doesn't give you the same kind of look and vibe.
Interesting. So what you're saying is, and I'm hearing you both say it, is that's the car that I've always wanted, and when I get the moment, I'm going to pull the trigger on that car, and hopefully the experience matches up to the dream.